The following may contain offensive language, adult humor, and or content that some viewers may find offensive. The views and opinions expressed by any one speaker does not explicitly or necessarily reflect or represent those of Mark Radulich or W2M Network. Please listen with caution, or don't listen at all.
Hooray for Hollywood, where stars are living large, in mansions with their servants and their credit cards in charge, with fame that's fleeting, but the egos never change, where everyone's a genius, except the ones who really arrange. Hooray for Hollywood, where the scandals always sell, where every whispered secret is a new tabloid's tell. Oh, how we adore the endless red carpet galore. Hooray for Hollywood, where less is always more.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, Damn You Hollywood. And here's your host, Robert Winfrey.
Thank you for that introduction, Mark. I've been told you wear your sunglasses at night.
That is indeed true. And joining us again, what a cutie, what a pal, what a fruity. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexis Haina.
It wasn't the booze, so we'll, you know what, we'll...
Just one sec. Wow. I wanted sad trombone, but I'll take
That's a slide whistle.
Yeah, no, I understand that. When it says slide long on there, and I was
10 seconds is pretty long for a slide whistle to go off.
That really was. You'd think that'd be a lot shorter, like the gunshot one, right? Like it's like the half a second there. Hello, Alexis.
You're such an asshole.
Well, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, the economy doesn't seem to be doing all that great. The housing market.
BlackRock won't give anyone their money.
Yeah, the Trump DOJ just forced a settlement with Live Events and Ticketmaster for their. They'd been preparing to bring a antitrust case against them, and testimony wasn't going very well. But Live Nation and whatnot wound up getting a settlement because who knows why. They're still going to get gouged.
And, you know, we've got ships blowing up in the Strait of Hormuz, so oil's about to go to $1 million a barrel. Life is just grand. So what better time to talk about a Pixar movie, huh, Alexis?
I was going to say, can we get to the topic already? I've got Chinese food waiting for me.
Oh, why don't you just eat it on the air like everybody else does?
I was tempted.
Right.
The problem is, if you noticed, I am not recording in my usual spot. We're putting in new vinyl plank floors, so the living room where I usually record, we can't put the table back in yet. So I moved everything to the bedroom. Hence why I've got a mascot here in the corner who will no doubt be bothering me before too long because I forgot to feed her.
So I thought it was that Andre, after successive shows where we picked on him for making too much noise or just living his life, he finally exiled you to the bedroom. He was like, "Look, I have shit to do, and I have a house to sell in a market that doesn't, that isn't working very well right now for selling houses."
Well, it isn't.
So,
for the record, do you really think I would let him exile me?
I don't think there's a matter of let. I think if Andre, enforced his will, that you'd be like Rapunzel in the high tower.
Yeah, he wishes he had that kind of pull. No, this is why I was a little late coming on after you sent the stream address. It took me a while to kind of organize, like, okay, now I can move the computer here, and I can move. Oh, wait, I got to go get the light here, and then my food got delivered right before. I was like, Jesus Christ! So I currently have sesame chicken and egg drop soup going cold in the kitchen, which, like I said, I would eat, except someone would be climbing all over me while I was trying to eat it.
Well, speaking of being climbed all over while being eaten, Robert, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we are talking about Pixar's latest offering, Hoppers.
Hoppers is a 2026 American animated science fiction comedy film produced by Pixar Animation Studios for Walt Disney Pictures. directed by Daniel Chong, and written by Jesse Andrews from a story by Chong and Andrews. The film features an ensemble voice cast led by Piper Curda, Bobby Moynihan, Jon Hamm, Kathy Najimy, and Dave Franco. Its plot follows Mabel Tanaka, an animal lover whose mind is transferred into the lifelike robotic beaver to communicate with animals and save their habitat from destruction, inadvertently, as one is wont to do, starting up an uprising in doing so. Fantastic. I was saying to Robert that I thought this was the best film that Pixar's put out since Soul. He said he disagreed a little bit. He said it's not better than Inside Out 2, and we've been kind of haggling over that. Just since Soul, what are your thoughts, Alexis? Where does this rank for you?
We did confirm Coco came up. Yeah, Coco came up before Soul.
It goes Soul, Luca, Inside Out, no, Turning Red, Jesus, Lightyear, and then Elemental, and then Inside Out 2.
I think I preferred Elemental to this. This was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. I'm not going to say like, oh God, no, this was terrible, but I do think I preferred Elemental. And for personal reasons, I think I may have preferred Inside Out 2. But again, not shitting on Hoppers. This was a genuinely good movie.
Yeah, not to give away my entire craft review, but I absolutely loved this movie. I was on the edge of my seat. I was smiling. I was telling Robert, there were so many places I thought this was going to fall into the modern movie pitfalls, and then it steered clear of them, and expertly so. And I was like, holy crap, this is so good.
The artificial elevation of the past baseline based on present failures is a real thing.
I was going to say, I've made multiple jokes before. I was so convinced this movie was going to fail just from the trailers. The trailers instilled no hope in me whatsoever, especially since, and I'll get to this a little bit more in a craft review, but Hollywood does not write animal rights activists well. It tends to make them extremely one note. It's just, the animals are right. The animals have souls. And
they've all been like, for some reason, they're all still chasing Brad Pitt in 12 Monkeys as like the ideal.
Let's back that up a second. Part of the problem is there's an element, not the entirety of animal rights activists, not the entirety of Earth First activists, but there is an element that their solution to things is go back to the cave, and they get the most fucking press, unfortunately. Like
they make the most noise, and they generate the most clickbait in the attention economy.
So everyone thinks that an animal rights activist, somebody who is I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but the last bit at the movie where where her and Jon Hamm are like, let's figure out a compromise, is more often than not what at least what animal rights activists will focus on that are okay with. Like, what are your demands? How can we accommodate you that's not going to upend the progress that we have to make? And then they figure it out and we move on. If that wasn't the case, before anyone starts yelling at me, we wouldn't have nature preserves. We wouldn't have entirety of land masses dedicated for what do you call it? As like natural.
If you want to know something fun,
national parks. I couldn't get the word national parks out. Yes.
Like the entire wilderness, both reclamation and sustaining project is kind of a uniquely American thing. We kind of created that on an institutional level. Like, hey, this is a wilderness area. Leave it alone.
Yeah.
Like, that's us.
So to represent an environmentalist or a animal rights activist as somebody who is so far to the left they're not worth taking seriously, I think would have been a huge mistake with this movie. And not one I don't think they're capable of making. Again, this last couple of years of Pixar have not been great, but I don't know. There are places, there are parts of Disney that seem to be learning, and other parts that are a little slow. Pixar seems to be one of the studios that has figured out the tenor of the American movie-going populace, and are working with them accordingly.
Well, they did. There was a pretty famous sound quote that floated around as Hoppers was coming out from I think the current head of the studio, Jim Doctor, I want to say. I can't remember. Who said, "Yeah, we cut like 8 minutes out of Elio because we're not making $100 million therapy sessions here."
Yeah, well, Elio was a complete disaster, so
It would have been worse. Is kind of the sentiment he's expressing there. Like, this could have been so much worse. Like, it's not great. Elio was a pretty bad movie overall, but imagine it with like another 8 minutes of just like pandering LGBTQ stuff, because that's what they cut out.
Well, my argument about Elio was that it was originally a very personal story that the writer-director was basing off of his own life growing up, feeling out of place, wanting to find your clique, your people. By removing that, yes, they feel that they're not pandering, but it also removes so much of the actual soul of the film, so that the film becomes basically about nothing. I'm not saying you're wrong. You know, maybe it would have bombed more, but I'm saying removing it and just trying to play it safe just gave us an unbelievably forgettable film in its place.
Let me take a different tack, because I don't totally disagree with you, but then write a better movie.
Yeah.
I'm not going to. I don't accept any argument that begins with, if you don't let me put all of my personal shit in this movie, it's going to be bad. No. You can write a perfectly great movie without all your personal shit in there. Yeah. I'm not accepting the Lana Wachowski argument.
No, I'm saying they cut everything out to try to play it safe, and then they didn't put anything else back in to supplement that. Sure. So you end up with a blase
No, that's
story.
I got what you were saying, but I wanted to make sure that everybody else understands that cutting something, that from an already more or less finished movie, and then you kind of take the heart out of it, that's unfortunate. But having put it in there in the first place is the problem. Robert, you were about to say something?
Again, you're exactly right. Like, there's a real problem when it comes to, this is a generalized modern writing critique here. It used to be that if you were going to write a movie that was supposed to appeal to people and was going to cost $100 million or more, the goal was, okay, this is going to be personal to me because I want to write something personal, but what kind of angle can I take about my emotional understanding to appeal to everyone? I mean, the entire first, like, all the great Pixar movies under Brad Bird are just that. It's Brad Bird's sort of like processing, boy, I got hired as a savant at Disney when I was a kid and then was never allowed to do anything. And boy, that's frustrating. And how do I process that? And he just processed it in part in a way that was, universally accessible. Most modern writing, unfortunately, takes the idea of write something emotional, write something that you know. And instead of going, okay, now how do I make it appeal to everyone, how do I make it as much my story as possible? And it becomes specific to the point of exclusionary. Yeah. And then when you're the studio burning hundreds of millions of dollars, more on that next week, because who the hell thought The Bride needed a $90 million budget?
I thought it was $80 million.
Ugh.
90. So anyway, that's not counting marketing. Anyway, point being, if you want to write something personal, cool. But if you want to write an autobiography, you don't get this budget.
I'm going to end this point with this. How much do you think the budget for your favorite film there, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul? How much do you think the budget on that one was?
I genuinely don't know.
Not $200 million. I can tell you that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Clearly not.
So my point is, I mean, it was your number one movie of the year. You guys praised it up and down. I haven't even seen it yet, but I'll take your word for it on this one that it's an outstanding movie. And
it's still 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The thing, that's an example of you wrote a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Has all the stuff we're talking about in there, presumably, probably has some elements of, the writer's personal stuff, but there's vomiting and, therapy speaking onto a page, and then there's writing a good movie with your learned life experience. They're not the same thing. Yeah. They're being confused for the same thing, and that's a big problem we have in Hollywood.
1,000,000%. Anyway, as a movie that avoids most of that, let's talk Hoppers.
Yeah, all right, let's get into the plot.
So Hoppers follows the character of Mabel Tanaka. We first see her as a as a grade school kid, stealing pets from the classrooms of her school to release them into the wild, thus sentencing the guinea pig and the parakeets to immediate death.
I was gonna say, it's like the turtle, the snakes, and all that's like, I get it, but sweetie, guinea pigs are not naturally found in the wild.
We're gonna forgive the child her transgressions. She's an elementary school kid who just thought all the animals being free would be okay.
I'm aware. It made me laugh. Like,
okay,
you love animals, and we all went through that phase.
She only started off rescuing the turtle. Every other one of the animals was making sad faces at her.
The guinea pig wasn't. The guinea pig was happily chewing on a leaf, and she wwent, "Oh, you're in a cage. You must be free." And the guinea pig's like, "But I have food here."
Okay. In all fairness, growing up in a school and going to school where we had classroom pets, and remembering just how horribly we treated those poor animals.
Okay, so keep going, Robert.
So she tries to escape with all the pets. Doesn't go well, winds up triggering a fire alarm, and the school, apparently this is not the first time this has happened, calls her mom and goes, "Lady, get a hold of your kid." But like most, especially young girls who grow up without fathers, Mabel is not interested in listening to authority or following structure. So her mom takes her to her mother's, so her grandma's, and her grandma's like, "All right, I can reach the poor, troubled little kid. I will connect them with nature, show them a better way to interact with wildlife than trying to release the poor domesticated creatures into the wild where they will die horribly." And it works. And then we fast forward to Mabel as a high school graduate starting college. Her grandmother has since passed on. And the mayor of Beaverton, which is where we are, clever, right? Beaverton, is trying to
knows that all.
Is trying to build a new highway extension, beltway, over this very particular glade where that used to be her happy place, and she's not happy about this anymore. And she fights with them over that. She tries to stop them detonating the beaver dam. And they're like, "But lady, there's no more beaver here. It's just an obstruction. There's no animals." She goes, "Wait, there's no animals? What happened? This place used to be full of life." And they went, "We don't know, but we're doing construction here, so get out of the way. Or go dance on dynamite. See how that works out for you." Which she then does, and it doesn't work out well. But she's told by the mayor in a somewhat glib fashion, like, "Look, we're finishing this in 2 days. If you can come up with some serious complication for us between now and then, we'll stop. But there's no animals here. We're not doing anything. Animals move. Don't know what to tell you." She then sees a beaver behaving weirdly. After she gets told by Peggy Hill in her second life. Very specific reference there. That if a beaver comes back, other creatures will come back because beavers alter the ecosystem in a fairly specific way. She tries to lure a beaver. She then follows it when it starts behaving badly. It goes to college like all good beavers do. Presumably on scholarship, because who could afford otherwise? Only to find out that this is a robotic beaver, and that the science department here has developed a way to project, or hop, if you will, your brain profile and consciousness into this robotic body. Wonderful technology that we're using for the dumbest possible reason. And she then jumps into the beaver body and goes, "I will find a beaver and bring it back to the location, and all will be well." And the scientists go, "You don't know what you're doing. Please stop. This is expensive equipment. What are you doing?" And she runs away. She gets scooped up by an owl that goes, "Yay, lunch." She finds out.
Did it actually say, "Stop squirming, my kids are hungry"?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I'm not entirely sure that the American eagle owl or the great horned owl feeds its children beavers, but anyway. She then gets dropped into the forest where no one knows where she is, and she wanders around. She finds a few other animals. She stops a bear from eating another beaver. And the bear goes, "You broke the rules. Yeah, now we got to appeal to a higher authority because this is what we do." She goes, "Wait, what do you mean?" The other beaver's like, "Yeah, you broke the rules. Like, you were going to get eaten. Like, it's a bear. It's got to eat something." So they grab the fake beaver, which is Mabel, and they go to see the king of the mammals, the king beaver, in a big old beaver pond. And he goes, "Well, why'd you break the rules?" Like, "Well, I don't know the rules." So the Mabel gets shown around the way things go. The humans get a look at this for a brief moment in time and go, "Why does the beaver have a crown?" Which is a fair question.
I was gonna say the subtitle of this movie is "Be careful with that lampshade."
Indeed. So Mabel tries to talk them into sending someone back to the glade to repopulate it, and all the animals go, "No, that place is way too loud. We don't want to be there." She goes, "What do you mean?" So they all go. At a certain point, all the animals stop and go, "Yep, that's about as close as we want to get to that obnoxious noise." She goes, "But I can't hear anything." She can't admit that she's a human in a robot suit, though. And she figures out that, oh, there's a fake tree over here with speakers at the top of it, blasting out noise at a frequency undetectable to humans that will drive out the wildlife. She knocks it over. They rebuild the dam. It's all good. But the mayor gets wind of this and goes, "Oh, that's not good." So while Mabel and George, king of the beaver, not just king of the beavers, he is king of the mammals, while they're getting more acquainted and we get a little bit of emotional connection, they blow up the newly constructed beaver dam, and everyone goes, "Boy, that sucks. That Jerry sure is a no good fellow." And Mabel's like, "Yeah, he's the worst. Elected officials, am I right? Especially if they're white, older men, because this is the demographic we're allowed to hate. Convene the council, and we'll figure out what to do," because George has made reference to there being a council. And he goes, "All right, we can convene the council." He goes, "But just so you know, these are other, like, royalty. I'm only king of the mammals, and I'm sure all the orangutans are just happy taking orders from a beaver in North America. But arriving are the king of the avians, a goose," which tracks more or less. I can see it. "A trio of snakes," because we couldn't quite get a Rat King reference in here, so the snakes being kind of like 3-in-1 works. "A fish," a species I didn't quite recognize. "A bullfrog," which tracks for the amphibians. And "a monarch butterfly." Get it? Monarch. And Mabel, being stupid, tries to argue that the humans are just the worst. And everyone looks at the beaver and goes, "You know they're mammals, milk sucker. You should be taking care of this." And George goes, "I would like to work on this. You've all made some very good points." And Mabel runs over him and goes, "No. Humanity is just the worst, don't you understand? A cancer on the face of our fair planet. We'd be so much better off if they were wiped out." And everyone goes, "You know what? Not a bad idea. Let's kill Jerry." And she goes, "Wait a minute. I only meant it metaphorically, rhetorically. I'm an academic spewing nonsense. Don't take me literally." Alfred Hitchcock warned us about this with Rope, by the way. And the king of the insects, this monarch butterfly, gets in Mabel's face and is like, "What the hell, man? You come in here and you preach all this stuff, and now we're trying to act on it, and you freak out." And she then squishes the bug, because it's a bug. But this is, regicide. Witnessed by her son, a fat caterpillar. And everyone else goes, "Okay, you've done a bad thing. You're going to get squished. And George, you are going to be deposed." And her son takes up the crown to be the new king of the insects. She's scooped up by one of the other researchers. They rescue George. About this time, she's turned back into her human form. And George has to realize that he was tricked by a human in a fake
You
beaver.
have missed a complete.
Oh, which one?
They get out. Mabel and George say, "Okay, let's see if we could."
Oh, right.
Yeah,
They
because
try to
you have the
save
whole.
Jerry.
Because it's like, I'd like to remind you, cell phone, beaver, chop block, potato.
Yeah. So they try to save Jerry, and their big plan for saving Jerry is, we'll let him know. And So there's a few people from the pond that are still loyal to George. There's the loaf, there's a gecko, there's the bear. So they go abduct Jerry from his house, basically. And Mabel tries to communicate with him via text-to-speech, which goes sideways a little bit, but there's been a hit put out on the mayor, and the hit is carried out by an apex predator. A bunch of seagulls then lift Jaws out of the ocean. You think I'm joking about this? I am not, I assure you.
And Jaws is incredibly friendly.
There's no reason to be a jerk about it, I guess.
So they lift the shark out of the sky and they try to drop it on Jerry. Go.
Yeah, they attack his car with this. It doesn't work. Jerry becomes convinced he's dreaming at one point, because what other possible conclusion could you arrive at? Other than I may have just had an aneurysm.
I was going to say, at this point, he's pretty sure dreaming or I've had a stroke. Take your pick.
He crashes the car. Again, Mabel gets taken out of the robot beaver body. George realizes he has been betrayed, and he sadly walks away. But all the animals have kind of...
I would say he's been duped more than betrayed.
Duped, sure.
You did miss another plot point, though.
Which one?
Mabel manages to get an earpiece into Jerry so he can actually understand, because that's the only way the humans and the animals can talk. And she says, okay, look, if you just stop the beltway, the threat's going to go away. They'll call off the squish. And Jerry actually says, no, I'm not calling off the beltway. And Mabel just briefly loses her mind and actually calls out to the shark, you know what, screw you, he's down here, chop chop.
Yeah, there is that moment. Ultimately what happens is the animals kind of figure out what's going on, so they get snakes, which are dangerous, to blackmail the scientists into creating a new body that looks like Jerry, because he's the king of the humans. He's the mayor of a small town, but close enough. And they then put Titus, the maniacal butterfly, because as the Simpsons taught us, no one suspects the butterfly. He then hops from his butterfly body into this robot human body and goes off to now weaponize the returned fake trees with amplifier, with loudspeakers in them, to, I don't know, hit the brown note on all the people that are gathered, or resonate so hard that their heads explode. It's left vague.
I think it's the same thing that they were doing in the second X-Men movie.
I'd assume something to that effect. And Mabel's like, no, all the people that I think are cancer on the face of the planet anyway. Whatever will I do with my morality actually being enacted out? But she and Jerry kind of come to an understanding, like, look, we can in fact work some of our differences out, but let's deal with the immediate threat of homicidal robot. Seems like a bigger problem. So they do that. Jerry goes into the beaver body. They go confront Jerry. There's a bit of a fight. A big fire starts. Titus gets kicked out of the robot body and then eaten by the toad, because it's a good thing to do.
By that point, they'd had enough.
They really had. Like, the other monarchs have started to see that he's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, actually crazy.
There is a bit where Titus essentially goes all the kingdom shall bow to the insects. We will never be the bottom of the food chain again. So
yeah. We will kill all of them. We will the stupid amphibians that are barely sapient. The bullfrog is my spirit animal out of this movie. Just good meeting, short.
I do love the way he just like grabs him, and that slow smile on his face.
At the end of the plot synopsis here.
That a big fire starts and starts heading towards the town, which is unprepared for a wildfire, despite being very close in proximity to apparently unregulated wilderness. Good civic planning. And Mabel kind of reconnects with George. She's had her own epiphany that George was good-hearted and right about a few things. And they go to the big beaver dam, because if they can dislodge that, it will throw enough water downhill into the path of the fire to extinguish it. And all the animals come together and they destroy the beaver dam. The water flows down, puts out the fire, and presumably whatever residual damage was done was handled by firefighters back home. Jerry shows up and is like, all right, there's been a big fire. We need to clean the place up rather than just, try to do construction over this. So they clean it up. They reroute the Beltway. Mabel maintains friendship with George, even though they can only communicate now via text-to-speech on an iPhone. The project is shut down by the dean because an academic turning down what would obviously be a lucrative military contract is a real thing, I guess. And the professor says, look, I got other ideas, like a talking dog collar. Wait, didn't anyone see Up? And Mabel's like, can I stay here in academia and work for you? Because the real world scares me. And everyone goes, okay, that's not a bad idea. The Glade is now a nature preserve. Jerry probably wins re-election because, of course, he does. And at the end, we see a bunch of the animals playing with the removed Jerry mask for comedy before it is stolen by a passing bird. And that's kind of Hoppers.
What did you think of the movie? Alexis, what did you? Oh my god!
I didn't hear a name. I just heard
what he did. Alexis, what did you think of the movie?
So, like I said before, I went in wanting to hate this movie. The trailer did not give me any incentive that it was going to be any good. The trailers, for what it's worth, only show Mabel as a crazy animal lover. They do not show the complications of her trying to save the Glade. So, I mean, the fact that they actually do put the line is like, oh, so it's like Avatar. This is nothing like Avatar. It's like they knew what people were going to say. And the good part of the first half of the film, I was kind of rolling my eyes at some points. And I looked back and I realized the moment that I actually realized this was a good movie was when Mabel squishes the insect queen.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that, but I'll wait.
Because it really does.
I did forget. They sensibly make the new king of the insects an ant at the end. And thank you. Don't go with the hereditary monarchs. Go with the people who understand logistics and processing and building.
Someday when the Chinese take over America, you'll be very useful, Robert. Keep going, Alexis.
Yeah.
Now, that's not true, and you know it.
The core element of the film, the message that really resounded with me, and again, this is not seen in the trailers, but it is really well preached, is about Mabel's anger. She feels like she's the only one who gives a crap, that she's the only one who's trying, and she has all this anger because what she in her mind, she's trying to do the right thing and she doesn't understand why no one's got her back. That's why I brought up the scene where she goes to Jerry in the Beaver form and says, just cancel the Beltway, and he says no, and she's just had it. She's like, oh my God, I gave you an out. I gave you an option that could solve all of this, and you're still being an asshole. I'm furious.
She's about this close at the entire movie. She's about this close to turning into the Unabomber.
Yeah, pretty much. And that scene actually, good chunks of that actually did speak to me because I was an activist in college and I got behind a lot of protests and causes, and there were more than a few of them that I fought my heart and soul into, and I had to watch them basically just get, shredded. I remember, I can't even remember what this was, but I did a petition and I got all these signatures and I turned it over to the representative, and he actually said, oh, we haven't gotten any petitions, no one's, there's no problem with this. And I lost my damn mind. I was like, what do you mean? Because it's like all that hard work, and I couldn't believe that it was ignored. So I get a lot where Mabel is coming from with her anger, but it really does show that the anger is not going to solve anything. If anything, it's going to create new problems. Mabel's anger and her fights with Jerry just mean she is not taken seriously. She is constant. I mean, she's frustrated. She's upset.
She accosts him outside his house at least at one point, and if you're doing that, I'm sorry, it's not. You can't be taken seriously as you can't reason with someone who's like, you're in your bathrobe outside your house where you take care of your elderly mother, which he's shown to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what are you doing? I have an office.
The thing, it's like, a guy walks up to you, shoves a camera in your face and asks you some sort of question. And then I'm not going to answer you. I'm not going to dignify this.
And then Michael Moore turns you into a key piece of his terrible documentary.
I was thinking more about the Nick Shirley stuff, but yeah, if you want to go for a 20-year-old reference, sure, Michael Moore. There's a lot of this going around with somebody shoves a camera in your face, and then you don't want to engage with the animal behavior, and then you're the problem. You're the one ducking questions. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's one of the things I like about this movie is how fair it is to both sides.
Yeah.
I do like that. I love that they do show that Jerry, while probably misguided, is a good person. He's and again, that was what I was worried about. I was worried that they were just going to make Jerry just the complete antichrist. And the first half of this movie, they really don't do a good job showing that he is a good person.
I'm going to push back on your use of the word misguided there, and I'll do it briefly because I don't want to spend 20 minutes on this. Misguided if you're one of the animals or the animal activist. He's looking at the greater good, and he's trying to the greater good.
The greater good.
Okay, and he's like, okay, well, what do we have to do? What's best for the vast majority of townspeople? And I'm sorry, do you think politicians are spending an awful lot of time thinking about animal habitats and the needs of the beaver? They're not. The movie makes it a big deal because they're the stars of this thing, but generally speaking, and I kind of like the way they did this. He was like, they gave him the moniker King of the Humans because this is what the animals are doing. But taken to its next step, yeah, he's the leader of a group of humans. He's going to do what's best for them. This is not out of bounds behavior for any species to do what's best for its own kind. The art is in the compromise when you meet resistance, if it gets to that point. But I think looking at it as, oh, well, he's just misguided. No. He was doing what he thought was the best thing for his people, and they loved him for it. That was the other thing. They don't spend too long on this because it's not Doonesbury the movie. There's a reference, huh? It's not a political movie. It's not that kind of political movie. So what little you saw of the humans was he was beloved. He was doing what was best for the townspeople, and they were voting him in with aplomb. So
he's the kind of mayor that you would probably like to have. Like, he actually knows his constituents, and
right. And
I mean, he never to that point. Like, I actually do think they do a decent job of foreshadowing in the first half that he's not just some he may be opposed to our protagonist, but he's not a caricature. Like, he knows Mabel. If he's a caricature every time he sees her, despite it being the fourth time, he goes, and who are you?
Yeah.
So there's a show that I like. I'm not going to tell you which one it is because I don't want Robert to yell at me. But I remember when there was a newly
elected... I won't yell at you, I promise.
There was a newly elected mayor, and they were like, what's the first thing and the guy's asking for, for consultation from a previous mayor. He was like, first thing that you should do is go build something. Put your name on it. Like, this Beltway thing is right out of the mayor's playbook. So what else you got, Alexis?
I will say I really enjoyed the voice acting. Dave Franco kind of blew me away as Titus. I just have this image of him still with that crappy haircut from Together, just chewing the hell out of the scenery and having a blast, screaming these lines into the microphone. Kind of surprised Meryl Streep was only in for a few minutes, but she was good. Bobby Moynihan, big fan of his, actually. He's a really good voice actor. He's previously been on Daniel Chong's. Daniel Chong actually gave us the show We Bear Bears, which Moynihan is one of the stars of. And kind of funny, I was reading about a little bit more about the production of this movie. Apparently, Chong wrote the script, but it was an Adelie penguin because, that's another animal we have to see have their habitats drastically altered. To which Pixar said, "Oh, we like it. Why a penguin? Have you not seen any animated movie in the last 20 years?
They're all penguins."
Yeah, exactly. So that's why
you don't need this to be mistaken for another Happy Feet movie or a Penguins of Madagascar spinoff.
Yeah, exactly. And it's actually fascinating that they chose a beaver because I don't think a lot of people realize just how much beavers are responsible for the development of ecosystems. They are actually called the ecological engineers. When they build dams, they are actually responsible for creating habitats for marsh-dwelling animals and more drinking water for those animals. They really are, just crazy important to local wildlife. So I kind of like that they went in that direction instead.
So I really like this movie. Again, to me, it's the best one Pixar's done since Soul, and I'm going to stand by that. And I'm okay if you disagree. I said it before. Everywhere where this script could have made the mistakes that so many other movies have made in the last 6 years, it doesn't do that. It gives even when Mabel's having a breakdown, it gives her an appropriate amount of verbalization of those feelings, and then stops before it becomes Zootopia 2. Thank you for that earlier, Robert. I like the even-handedness. I like how, I've been saying all show, that the humans have their side, the animals have their side, as interpreted by Mabel, and it does the best. It does the thing that good movies do best, and that is it presents both sides, lets the audience kind of figure it out for themselves. So I liked all of that. This movie made me think of Don Bluth. Specifically, the comment that we've talked about before with I believe it was Don Bluth who said, you can pretty much show a kid anything so long as you get a happy ending, the kid will bounce back.
Yeah, that is the substance of that Bluth quote, yes.
And I was thinking about how Pixar movies have been kind of mayonnaise sandwiches as of late. Like when it comes to sort of sappy feelings, they're like Elemental, they're all over that. But when was the last time you saw something as grim and as frightening as the end of Toy Story 3? Where all the toys are being
literal staring into the mouth of hell.
Yeah. And when I was growing up as a kid, I grew up with the Rankin and Bass animated movies where everyone looks like a disgusting pile of laundry. So you have Last Unicorn, The Hobbit, The Return of the King. Gross. The Raggedy Ann and Andy movie where there's some really fucking frightening imagery in that cartoon.
Never get high while watching that film.
I would not recommend it. No. This stuff still, like, I mean, I'm almost 50. This stuff still, like, to this day, I'm like, ugh. I don't like to think about it for too long. The Secret of Nim.
Land Before Time. They literally kill the mother.
Right. There was a lot of bravery in the animated features of our youth, and that has been absent for the last number of years. And this brought it back. It's not quite as overwhelming as the stuff I just named, but when there's been nothing for so long, I am a thirsty man, and I finally got a cool drink of water here.
Well, it's brackish water, but it's water.
When she kills the monarch butterfly, there was a fairly full theater, and there was an audible gasp. People like, ah! Which tells you people are not used to seeing that sort of thing, and you can go off on a tangent when it's your time about how people are pussies, but I am meeting the audience where they are, and where they are is leagues away from where Don Bluth was, with The Secret of Nim and all of that. So I, was like, oh, and I had to scream, psycho killer, fucking, just nothing but horror movies lately. And then here I am watching this, and I'm watching her kill the butterfly, the queen, and it's just one of those. I'm like, oh God, like I was with the audience in audibly gasping. It's a moment, and it was a really brave moment of the film, because I think 6 years ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, she swats it and the thing, and the thing kills itself somehow, like explodes. She doesn't actively kill the goddamn thing. Some of the stuff with Titus, as shrill as that character got, and the way that they would like angle the camera on the animation, was really unsettling. The stuff with the snakes was really unsettling imagery. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this is an animated movie for children with a $200 million budget and a studio with a recent shaky fucking reputation. They took some chances with this, and this is why I'm elevating it above Inside Out 2. This is my reasoning. Because other than the fact that as I said to Robert, this was a full-throated production, and Inside Out 2 was a television show that was compressed into a movie. Like, they took a lot of chances. There's some really, for this kind of a thing, graphic imagery, even-handed writing. I'm like, wow. Everywhere where this movie could have fallen, it hit it out of the park. This was the recent LA Dodgers. They're just knocking every ball over the fence. I was impressed. Mabel could have been a shrill, unlikable character, as most lead characters have been in these movies of late. She wasn't. I saw where she was coming from. She was appropriately humbled. She tried to save the day in the end. You know, I've certainly been where Mabel has been, where you're just trying to keep a bunch of lids on pots, you know, before everything fucking explodes. It's rough, and I got it. You know, Jon Hamm's character, I saw where he was coming from too, and I liked the way that they handled that. I would say, like, I think probably the Pixar's, especially since, or both Disney and Pixar, since like Moana and The Good Dinosaur, photorealistic scenes have been their stock and trade to the point where they don't wow me anymore. And this one, it didn't either. This seemed like a very nicely animated cartoon, but I was never not watching a cartoon.
Can I tell you that in the wake of the success of the opening weekend, Daniel Chong released a bit of what they did, like proof of concept footage. Mm-hmm. And it's not 3D animated. It's like Ghibli-inspired 2D animation of George and Mabel swimming. He's got the crown and everything. And he put this out there like, we're not going to immediately go, wait, the whole thing could have looked like this, and instead it looks like generic Pixar film number 5. Like, oh man, what a missed opportunity.
I think that was the other reason I had no faith going in, because the scene that they use all the time in the trailer of Mabel running through the grass with her arms like, going, oh my God, I understand you. I cannot see that and not think of turning red. It looks, I literally, yeah. I mean, I'm sorry, the trailer, I literally walked in the movie thinking, okay, so we're going to see an Avatar ripoff using leftover assets from Turning Red and Big Hero 6. Got it.
Yeah, I wasn't impressed with the animation. It's a perfectly fine cartoon, but I was missing the photorealism of like a Moana, or like I said, The Good Dinosaur, and the best things about
something
that
I'd accept something that actually invited you into the world.
Your comment that this is more on the Onward level, I only agree with that in terms of production quality.
I did like the idea
hang on. I cut him off. I wanted to let him finish a sentence.
Sorry.
Well, there's two ways to go about this kind of thing. Either you do something so realistic that the audience is like, wow, I'm there, which these days is a shaky bet, because when everything kind of looks like that, nothing looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or you do something a little bit outside of the box and you invite the audience in. This is what Ghibli does. Like, nobody's going to confuse Ghibli style animation for the real world, but it creates something that invites you into it and makes you want to be there. And we've lost that a little bit.
This movie wants to be the wild robot, but it isn't as animated as well. It isn't written as well.
Yeah, it's not nearly as good on any level.
Well, it's written almost as good as the wild robot, but it's animated as well as Immigration. The Elimination movie with the ducks.
Migration.
Thank you. Migration. Whatever. Migration.
Those are two very different things, Mark.
Show me a passport. So overall, I'm happy with the direction Pixar is going in. I have higher hopes now than I did before for Toy Story. I won't get into the argument I got to do with Rob before the show started about why that series needs to stop. But
yeah, that should have stopped at 3. That is again. I will happily fight with you on that hill.
Oh no,
Robert.
100%. I'm talking about the thing with the toys being out of date. But anyway, we'll worry about that over the summer. Yeah, I absolutely think Hoppers is Pixar returning to what made them great. I hope it's rewarded by the audience. It may not be. I mean, it had a good weekend. We'll talk about that soon. Your thoughts, Robert?
Again, I think this is good. I think what it's lacking and why it winds up a little bit below Inside Out 2 for me personally is this should have hit me emotionally. I literally lost my grandma like, what are we on, 6 months ago, give or take.
Incidentally, I did cry during this at some points. Go ahead.
I can't imagine why. It's kind of my problem with it.
Okay.
Like this, there's a lot about where I am emotionally right now where this should have hit me, and none of it did. And that's kind of why. So that's one of the things that I kind of do have a little bit of a knock against it. That's a small one. Purely craft wise, I agree with you. Like watching this avoid every major pitfall that most, not only Pixar, but a lot of movies have run into lately was nice. But I don't grade on a sliding scale of, boy, it sure is nice to see something that isn't a D. I'm going to make it an A. This is not a D or an F. It's a pretty solid C+. B- if you want to be generous. And that's fine.
Real quick, the van going over the falls set to A Wonderful World. Finding Nemo or Finding Dory?
Finding Dory.
The bit with the shark and when they crashed the car, I was getting that vibe. I needed to make sure I said that.
Okay. I think if I had like a couple of major, I think kind of gripes with this. I don't care much about Mabel. And I agree that she's not a shrill, unlikable character. Let me just start there. And the fact that she's not any of those things is really, really nice. I think I kind of just never really... I needed more out of the performance in the animation if this is a character that is avoiding their grief and is putting it off onto, I must save this thing because this means that I don't have to deal with my grief. And I didn't get that out of it, if that's what we're kind of going for.
I don't think the movie put as much emphasis on that as they should have either, now that you mention it. I think it's like, we just got to get the kids to the mall. And so, well, how are we going to get the kids to the mall fast? I don't know. Kill grandma. All right.
Yeah, and especially when like our big emotional moment is supposed to be her fighting the fire and deciding, I'm going to put saving what I've got here instead of trying to preserve what I used to have. You need more to make that cathartic. And then the fact that the ending is, well, you get to preserve it anyway, kind of cuts the legs out from under the character growth anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So those things kind of bothered me from a writing perspective. Her relationship with George, I kind of wanted a little more out of. It's weird because this movie's what? 110 minutes? Double check for me real fast, if you would, please.
I'm on it.
105 minutes.
I could have used another 8 minutes of this movie's runtime. Like I genuinely could have used a few things being more fleshed out, spend a bit more time with some of the elements of this film. And much as, I'm happy with a leaner movie by and large, there's stuff that like I kind of, if you're going to introduce a few of these things, I need a little more time spent here to make it make sense. Like the animal, like the different, phylum of animals all having different rulers, I'm okay with, but one, you do kind of limit it a little bit with just like amphibians, reptiles, insects, avians, and then mammals. You do kind of limit it, and like I'm supposed to believe that the rulers of all the animal kingdom are all in proximity to Beaverton because that's where the Beaver King is.
I kind of assumed it was the rulers of the animals in just that particular area.
I would assume
I'm with
too,
Alexis here. I'm pretty sure this was a 20 square mile thing.
I would have been okay with that if that had been like made a little bit more clear, but the fish is able to like scrounge up the world's largest shark.
It's just in the river.
From the coastline of Oregon.
It's river sharks.
It would be a bull shark, and this was a great white. Anyway.
I do have a theory, though. So at the end, we do have Dr. Sam pulls out the board with all of her future projects, and yes, the dog collar from Up, the robot cat from Lightyear, and one of the robots from WALL-E are on it. I think we're going to get a Disney Plus animated series out of this. I think we're going to get essentially kind of a Wild Thornberrys meets Dexter's Lab with Mabel probably regaining her ability to talk to King George through a special headset or something, trying out Dr. Sam's invention.
Right, Robert, you were still talking about your thing, and you got stuck on why a shark. and why the animals operate the way they do. Keep going.
Well, I'm sorry. Look, just seagulls pulling a shark out of the ocean. At that point, we have jumped the shark, quite literally, because the shark was pulled out and jumped over a thing.
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird to point out a Pixar movie. Go, you're getting silly. Go to bed.
Bear in mind, I don't think I've done that with almost any other Pixar film. I've been like, okay, we're too far here.
That more than anything else is why I was getting that Finding Dory vibe of, if you'll remember, it's the animals driving the fucking van getting away, and then they drive it off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was like, sometimes Pixar kind of stays within the world that they built, and other times they get so silly. And this is one of those really, and I think that's why I didn't. It's not a moment that lost me, because in another world, in another mood, I'm watching the birds carry the shark, and I'm like, this is gay. This is so stupid. But I happened to not be in the world's worst place at the time, and I thought, well, occasionally Pixar gets silly.
Yeah, and I suppose just because it's so out of left field, that it kind of just took me out a little bit. I think my other gripe, and this is I'm trying not to hold
the
this
animals
one.
wearing crowns you were okay with. Here's where we get silly.
Believe it or not, yes. Like, okay, the Beaver King wears a crown. Okay,
that's not a throwaway thing. That's the movie. Like you know, what's the word? Not grooming, but like getting you to understand that this is not reality. This is a silly world.
Yeah, and even in the silly world, we just went too far. Okay. Again, for me, and that line is different for everyone else. I get it. I think if I have another kind of gripe, and this is a large gripe I have with people who do these kinds of stories, can we please have a little bit of creativity other than making the animals just like people? I have complained about this for a while, and I'm going to just reiterate. I'm going to bang this drum until I get what I want. And it may never happen, but I'm going to keep doing it. When we're taking a look into the magical world of animals, of nature, and being able to communicate, turning everything that they do into just something humans do, I think is just cheap and lazy and uninteresting. Wild Robot at least did a little bit of, let's keep the predators and let's keep the prey. And the only time they decide we'll be okay together is, oh boy, we all have to share this one space, otherwise we die in the blizzard.
Right. I was actually.
But as soon as we're outside of this,
didn't you get what you wanted with the Wild Robot, and you're saying it's not enough?
No, it's not enough. I need more of this. Wild Robot or Watership Down, these are quasi-alien worlds and groups of creatures and characters. If we reduce them to it's a human, but it's a beaver, I think you do it a disservice. We actually should get a wildly, almost alien perspective on everything that's going on from the frogs, who don't think about any of this stuff the same way that a beaver would or a bird would. And we don't get that. They're all kind of just there doing the same thing, saying the same things. And that homogenation, that lack of imagination, I do find as a sad missed opportunity from all of this.
Aesop called. He said, get over it.
Well, look, he's not wrong.
I get what you're saying. I think what you're saying is valid. And if it took you out of the movie, that's fine. It didn't bother me. I didn't think about it that hard. It's funny. Because I've in bulk been doing my TikTok essays with ChatGPT, but it's more than just compress this, make it an essay, and then I'm going to read it. I ask it for feedback. I say, more specifically, I had it do all of the Scream reviews that we did, and I had to tell it 6 times. One of these, it's Alexis hosting, and tell me how much better it is with me doing it than with her doing it, and it doesn't matter. But you're welcome. But it's funny that the ChatGPT is just you pick out Alexis, but Alexis speaks for the trees, and here's what you do well, and then here's what Robert does well. So you're sort of pick and union attacking of certain structures and details is very consistent across everything that we do, that the ChatGPT picked it up, because I've fed it now so many of these transcripts.
Good to know.
By the way,
really
the ChatGPT likes you just fine, Alexis. He sees your value. I haven't sent him the Thanksgiving one. I haven't sent it the Thanksgiving one yet. I'm gonna do that just to prove my point.
You are so bringing about the robot apocalypse. You and Jesse are just speed running us to oblivion.
I am Team Skynet all the way. Speaking of Skynet, anything else, Robert?
Not really. Again, this is you and I can kind of squabble about whether or not this is better than Inside Out 2, but ultimately that's a matter of degrees. They're of the same kind.
Mm.
This is definitely Pixar, definitely like after Lightyear blew up, and boy did it blow up. They've really been trying to again, like you mentioned, Alexis, like you took a lot of the heart out of Elio. And I understand that. In fact, it's one of the things we complained about when we reviewed the movie, that you did. I understand why you stripped elements of its identity out. I really do. Because if you're managing Pixar as a studio, like, are we going to sacrifice it so this movie becomes a little bit more bland? Or are we going to take another giant hit from the people who actually buy the damn thing? And them coming down on, well, we couldn't take this hit again. We need to try and get the studio back to a point where it's financially viable and makes money. I get it. And this is another kind of step in that direction. I do think, again, this is, around like Inside Out 2, Onward, and this are all kind of about somewhere in the same vicinity. Incidentally, Onward is the only Pixar movie I think I've told my mom not to watch. Because...
obvious reasons.
Well, it's about brothers. And I've got, she has 4 sons. And I think it would just be like, make her disconsolate at a certain point.
All right.
But yeah, this is fine. This is a perfectly acceptable C+, B- movie, and God bless. Not looking forward to Toy Story 5 very much at this point, but I'm looking forward to Coco 2 even less. Like, what in the world are we doing here?
I am not looking forward to Coco 2, but I'm not looking forward to Toy Story 5. That's not going to happen, but I am at least confident that if this is the direction Pixar is going in, we're on the right track for Toy Story 5, not to make me want to join a terrorist organization. So,
speaking of wanting to join a terrorist organization in Disney, I assume you saw the bit where the former showrunner of The Acolyte was like, yeah, in season 2, Yoda was going to help cover up the Jedi's war crimes.
I can't wait for Lucasfilm to go out of business. All right, speaking of which, here comes...
I wish I was joking.
I know you're not. Here comes the money.
We're in the money. We're in the money.
Oh, yes, now. Alrighty. There it is. Okay. On a budget of $150 million, this thing made $88 million. As of March 8th, 2026, Hoppers grossed $46 million in the U.S. and Canada, and $42 million in other territories for a worldwide of $88 million. In the U.S. and Canada, Hoppers was released alongside The Bride, which nobody saw, and was projected to gross $40 million from 4,000 theaters during its opening weekend. The film was projected to reverse Pixar's low opening streak for its originals, overtaking the lukewarm openings of Elemental, which became a sleeper hit, and Elio, which became a box office failure. The film collected $13.2 million on its opening day, including $3.2 from Thursday previews, which was seen as ahead of expectations. The film proceeded to open $46 million in the U.S. and Canada, and $42 million overseas for a worldwide total of $88, taking first place at the box office. In doing so, Hoppers became the highest opening for an original Pixar film since Coco in 2017, and the highest opening for an original animated film in the post-pandemic era. The better-than-average performance was attributed to positive word of mouth and the film's release during a slow market for family films. Yes, if you don't want to take your children to the giant stabby films or the monster films, of which there are a zillion, here is Hoppers, a perfectly lovely film. And that is the only place where I kind of agree with you, where, like, stop rewarding regression. It's like there's such worthless movies in the in films in the movie theaters right now for families. Like Hoppers gets elevated, which whatever. That's what happens with these movies.
Look, I'm not denying the reality of the situation. It's one of the reasons I like when you said that's kind of where you were with it. I didn't try to argue that point or attack you about it because you're right. I'm just saying, like, I'm not going to grade on a curve because of it, but that's just me.
Hoppers was the #1 movie of the weekend. It knocked Scream 7 from 1 to 2. The Bride debuted at number 3.
Ugh.
Well, Maggie Gyllenhaal, you tried. Goat dropped from 2 to 4. Withering Vaginas dropped from 3 to 5. Crime 101 stayed at number 6. Epic Elvis Presley in Concert dropped from 5 to 7. Send Help stayed at number 8. I Can Only Imagine 2 Electric Boogaloo dropped from 7 to 9. And Demon Slayer Ketchup No Mustard it debuted at 10? No.
It's
re-released at number 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 20. Oh my God. I take that back. It's just somehow jumped up from where the hell ever it was because it's 26 weeks in theaters. Protector debuted at 12. Dolly 16. Youngblood at 21. And Pompeii Below the Clouds 35. Heel 52. Oh my God. Heel 52. And that was the weekend that was worldwide. Something called Pegasus 3 is currently worldwide at 370 million.
We did this last week, Mark. This is a Chinese racing movie.
Oh, okay. Don't expect me to remember things from a week ago. Wuthering Heights is
I kind of do. I'm not going to. I don't expect you to remember things from like 8 months ago, but last week.
Wuthering Heights is number 2 at 213 million. Blades of the Guardians, 168. Scare Out is 160. Scream 7, currently the number 5 movie in the world with 149 million. Goat, 146. Boonie Bears, 139. And not even breaking 100 million. Send Help, Hoppers, and The Man Who Lives with the King. Hoppers is debuting on the charts at number 9. Number 9.
Yeah, Hoppers is going to struggle a little bit here. Again, it's got an okay opening, and it's got a pretty clear field as far as family movies.
Yeah,
but
I was about to ask.
It's got a month. It's got a month because Super Mario comes out the first week of April.
I was about to ask if that was the next.
Yes.
Yeah, family.
Yeah,
film.
Super Mario Galaxy is the next like family movie, so it's got until then. But on a $190 million budget, you said, give or take.
Yeah. So coming up this weekend is Reminders of Him. That's the big one from Universal. That's for all the women's. Then we have from Bleecker Street.
Mark, all the women's, we're going to go see the feminist masterpiece that is The Bride, Shrill Insanity.
Yes, sir. And we have...
I get to get my shots in. I have to sit through the darn thing. We're reviewing it next week.
Speaking of shots, Slanted by Amy Wang. The Gates from Lionsgate, directed by John Burr. Body Cam from Shudder, and it does not have a hyperlink. So, yeah, this weekend is free and clear. Nothing is going to matter until the weekend of the 20th when Project Hail Mary comes out.
Which is getting absolutely rave reviews.
Yeah. And then the end of the month, there's nothing that's really going to come. So, Hoppers has the entire month of March to kick ass and take names and chew bubblegum. So,
you're at a spot where you got to get to like 500 million. Not impossible, but it's going to need a stronghold.
Yeah. I would imagine Super Mario. What did the last one do? Do you remember off the top of your head?
Right around $1 billion.
Yeah. What was the opening weekend? 100 million? 150?
I'll look it up. Hang on.
Alexis will look it up then. Okay. It's probably something around that. And this one will probably do about the same, maybe a little better. Well, They've only released the one trailer. I think that's to their benefit at the moment because the one trailer they have released has largely been positively received.
So I haven't paid much
Wait,
attention.
you're talking about the trailers for the Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah.
They just released a third one today.
Did they? I've only seen the
Yeah.
one, so.
Yeah, well, it's in celebration because tomorrow is Mario Day, and May
Mario.
on the 10th.
Tomorrow is Mario Day.
Tomorrow is Mario. Yeah.
Wario.
Actually, fans are kind of going berserk because they confirm. Robert, you and I are the same age. You'll appreciate this. They confirmed that Wart from Super Mario 2 is going to be there. Luis Guzman is voicing him, and I am already predicting the eye rolls from both of you. They confirmed who's voicing Yoshi. It's Donald Glover.
Yeah, I'm gonna eye roll that a little bit.
My question about the Super Mario movie,
Mark, no one here is gonna make fun of you for that. If you're worried, if you need help in your domestic situation, blink 3 times. It's a lot more than 3, is it? That I will send in a tactical airstrike.
No, she's wonderful. Listen, my question
She's not
is
behind you.
culturally, how are we doing with Mario these days? Go ahead and answer the question there, Alexis.
Well, for the record, I finally found it. The opening weekend for the first Super Mario movie in 2023 was 377 million plus global openings, 204.6 million domestically. Biggest worldwide opening for an animated film ever, highest grossing video game adaptation ever.
So do we think it does? I'm thinking about like Wicked. There was a lot of pomp and circumstance for Wicked, and then the second by the year 2 it had died. This is now several years later.
Wicked had a thing where it was half a story. This is just a sequel to a movie that people liked. It'll probably do fine.
Oh, I think it's going to do really well because what got people excited about the first Mario movie was that it was a love letter to gamers. And most of us have grown up with a Mario game in our lives. This one is expanding that. Again, they're including a whole scene with villains from Mario 2. We've got Yoshi coming in, who has been easily the most popular Mario character since he first debuted in Super Mario World.
True.
We're getting also a lot of peaks. We got Rosalina, Bowser Jr. Apparently, they're doing a lot more with Mario Galaxy because they also confirmed Issa Rae is playing a character from the Mario Galaxy game. So I think this is really showcasing the love of growing up with the Mario games. I mean, hell, the second Mario trailer featured Yoshi holding a super scope, and the fans went apeshit over that.
So
look, if Mario doesn't wind up with the splash pack at some point, and Luigi needs a vacuum this time.
So plus or minus 300 million opening weekend, Alexis. What do you think?
I say plus. I think it is going to kick butt.
You think it crosses $1 billion again?
Oh yeah, easily.
Do you think it makes more than the first one?
Yes.
All right.
Decent chance on all fronts for that. The big question on this one is going to be, what gets through the Chinese censors, because the first one, like you and I both know this, Mark, like you can't make $1 billion if China doesn't like you.
Yep.
At this point, if the Chinese market doesn't like your movie, you ain't hitting that number. Just full stop. I think this one will probably be fine. So it probably again about the same thing that the first one did. I imagine it'll do I imagine it will do better when it's all said and done. The first one didn't burn any bridges. It's not like there's been a glut of movies in this genre since then anyway. Like we haven't been burned with between Super Mario and Super Mario Galaxy, there was Link, there was Metroid, there was everything else to set up a Smash Brothers movie. Like that, we haven't done that. We haven't gone down that road yet.
The only other video game adaptation that has had any weight and besides Mario Brothers is the Sonic films, and they've done incredibly well.
Well, I'll hold the phone on that. They've made money, but they're making less money with each successive one. Like they've all been hits and they've all been profitable, but I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that I don't think 2 made as much as 1. I don't think 3 made as much as 2.
I know 3 didn't make as much as 2. But I think with Sonic 4, I think the big selling point for that is it's going to be like they're going to get off of Earth for that one. They have to at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah, we talked about our theories when we reviewed it.
Well, that is why I am going to be the Debbie Downer of this discussion, and then we can move on to the final part. I don't think it has the opening weekend that its predecessor had. I think Super Mario Galaxy makes less money opening weekend and less money overall. Will it crack $1 billion? Did Minecraft crack $1 billion last year?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember I joked because it must have been because they charged extra seats for the chickens.
This chicken jockey, Mark.
I'm trying to think.
Chicken
Like
jockey.
there was something that came awfully close that we thought would crack $1 billion and didn't. It's in that area.
One sec.
And I feel like it might have been Minecraft. I don't remember. I'm willing to be wrong about that, and there's a misremembering, but I feel like Minecraft got close, but it didn't get over $1 billion.
No, you're right. Minecraft came at 961.
This is why I don't think there's the appetite for going to see these movies that there once was. That's kind of my whole argument here. Is I'm not saying they won't be good, and I'm not saying they won't make money. I'm saying that the movie-going populace is shrinking. So you're going to have to shave off because this isn't new. People aren't clamoring for it. This is I feel like there's going to be a slice that's going to be willing to wait for this to come on streaming.
Well, hang on. Let's do the other component of this argument then. What's the schedule? Like, how much room does Galaxy have before it has any real competition in the family market?
That's a great question. So Super Mario Galaxy comes out April 1st, and then if we're just talking strictly family movies, 4 Kids Walk into a Bank. No, just kidding.
You're making me do that for a comic strip, and I am
stop
more
crying.
and more tempted to just stab you in the throat.
Oh, speaking of being stabbed in the throat, I saw the trailer for Animal Farm, and I almost walked out of Hoppers.
Yeah, I am George Orwell has always been my favorite author, and when I
say
saw
we
that
bring
trailer,
Andy Serkis up on War Crimes. That's how bad I think that movie looks.
Yeah,
I genuinely am shocked that Angel Studios decided to distribute that.
I love Andy Serkis, and I've enjoyed so many of his movies, but my God, Mr. Serkis, why would you disservice Orwell's memory like that?
The decision to turn Animal Farm from a commentary on communism to a commentary on capitalism is just wrong. You want to treat capitalism? It's right for it. Go ahead. This ain't the way.
Well,
no kidding.
Either way, regardless, the hoi polloi may feel otherwise. The answer to your question is that's the next kids movie that's coming out after Mario, and it's a month later. So
and no one is going to see it.
I don't know, man. The Christians like that studio, considering
they
it's
won't
their
like
studio.
this.
So you have
as
Animal
the Christian here.
Animal Farm is May 1st. God, remember remember when that used to belong to Marvel?
I do, but then Marvel, blew itself up.
And then June 19th is Toy Story.
So it's got until June, basically.
Followed by Minions and Monsters on July 1st.
Yeah, so that's when the real other family movies come out. Animal Farm is not a kid's story to begin with. It can be told to kids, but no, like that movie's going to bomb pretty badly. So this has like 2 months to just do its thing. If it finds an audience, it'll be fine. Like that's also, kids starting to get out of school around then. Like it's got a chance.
Are churches still busing people to go to the movies when they want something to be successful?
Depends on the denomination, but look, Angel built a decent reputation. David was fairly well received earlier this year. Solo Mio seems to have been a modest success for the, romantic dramedy kind of crowd, which is what it was. A lot of these the thing about Angel Studios with some of these things, they're not producing them, they're distributing. Because like they didn't like they were not involved in financing Animal Farm, but no one else. Stop. But no one, like, as soon as everyone like saw the trailer for Animal Farm, every other distributor went no. And a smaller studio kind of like, all right, we'll take a flyer on it. That's kind of how that's going with that.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going out of their way to try and like make that movie a success. Seth Rogen is terrible and has negative cachet. Andy Serkis, God bless him, missed the mark on this. That trailer got killed by everyone left, right, and center.
Mm-hmm.
For the record, it's funny clear that Angel really puts out a lot of money on its marketing. You remember I mentioned in a previous video about how I was getting inundated with trailers for David, and you joked, well, it's probably you accidentally tripped something in your algorithm. Yeah. I'm getting inundated with Animal Farm trailers now, just crazy amount. Angel is spending a fortune on their marketing.
Terrible decision. I mean, Angel Studios used to be, I forget the title of what it used to be, but I know the studio it used to be, and I think they're making an error with this one.
I agree,
but it's their error to make, and really unfortunate. Again, they did a decent job trying to build up goodwill with some of the last stuff they've released. I mean, they did what do they call their Helmut Humaner story? It might have been Treason or something to that effect. And it's a good story. It was a good movie. Again, Solo Mio, it's a Kevin James romantic dramedy. Like, he gets left at the altar but goes on the vacation solo anyway and meets other couples that were on the same package and rediscover, and like kind of like as an older guy, like, boy, I kind of thought this was it for me. Sort of rediscovers some. It's a fairly standard movie, like, you know, the mid-budget thing that, you know, we've lamented the death of.
Admittedly, I saw the trailer for Solo Mio. It's not something I'm going out of my way to see, but it doesn't look terrible. It looks like one of those, if it was on TV, I wouldn't immediately turn it off.
I mean, you know, stuff like Return to Me was in that same vein, which was David Duchovny's one of his first starring roles on film.
I got drugged to see that in theaters.
Hey, real quick, since I won't be here next week, we're going to talk about what happened to the bride.
We're going to have to talk about it next week. So
hang on, I like Mark, for you and me, for just a second.
Yeah, we're not talking craft here. This is money. This is news related, and the news was this was like the biggest bomb of the year so far.
We're going to talk more about this next week, okay? Just for everybody who wants to know that, but because Mark's not going to be here and is not going to have to suffer like I'm going to have to suffer through that movie.
Oh, don't worry, Kat and I will make sure your pain is quick.
That doesn't make you can't make the movie shorter. The review, I'm actually
that was more of a euthanasia joke, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm not Canadian anyway. Look, here's my 2 cents on this from where we stand right now, because we're not talking craft, we're just talking, you know, box office. One, Maggie Gyllenhaal is a shit writer. And she wrote and directed this. Hang on. Her direction, I lost Alexis for a second here. Her actual direction seems to be at least moderate. Okay, let me say this very clearly. Her direction seems to be at least moderately interesting in a car crash kind of way. The writing is terrible. Like, I've not seen anyone say anything good about the writing. So, terrible writer. It seems like an artifact from 2016. It's kind of the vibe. And it opened to 7 million. And I saw enough people do if this was if this had a budget of $20 million, a $7 million opening actually isn't bad. It might actually be okay. There's hope. What was the budget for The Bride? Let me just take a big swig of water before I look at the number so I can do the spit take. When you decide to burn almost $100 million on Maggie Gyllenhaal's shrill feminism, You deserve every bad thing that's coming your way. And
Here's the thing: it had a huge media push. I'm not really debating you. I'm just kind of looking at this from another angle. I didn't hear much negative press going into opening weekend. Everything I've heard,
the embargoes on those reviews were as long as possible.
right? That's my point. They did a successful job of keeping the critics' reviews away from people for as long as possible. This had a huge marketing push. I'm actually kind of shocked no one gave a shit. Like, if just so you understand where I'm coming from and where Alexis can participate in the discussion, I'm surprised it did as bad as it did. I'm not surprised it is as bad as it is. I'm surprised opening weekend, like, there's, Send Help did okay. Crime 101 did okay. A lot of movies, Bone Temple did okay. I figured it would do okay. A lot of shit's doing just okay now. Like, nothing's doing great. Something that's getting as much marketing as The Bride generally isn't doing the worst movie ever numbers. So I'm a little shocked that this one did. Now, obviously, it's not going to recover from as much negative press as it's getting. I'm just like, really? No one was in, like, monster people weren't interested in this. Maggie Gyllenhaal people not interested in this.
There's no Maggie Gyllenhaal people, Mark.
If you're again, Wuthering Heights did perfectly fine. So women go see movies.
Wuthering Heights.
It was nothing about The Bride that interested women, at all.
Wuthering Heights, as you have mentioned, was like what passes for a salacious movie these days.
Yes, it was a book
for any number. Never mind that it actually downplays the scandalous, transgressive elements of the novel in favor of, oh no, he grabbed her by the neck.
So let me say something I don't normally say. I want to hear from Alexis. Any idea what would have been pockets of fans for this thing? And it does have built-in pockets of fan bases. Why everyone summarily ignored it before anyone knew it was bad?
Okay, number one, I have not seen the movie yet. I am going to see it this coming weekend with friends.
Not asking you to do a craft review. I'm asking.
I'm not. Let me get to the point, Mr. Radulich.
Well, I don't understand why you started there, but go on.
Okay, haven't seen the movie yet, so I don't really have much to say about why I don't think it worked because I don't know what is in the movie yet. And number two, can we please just get on to the critical review? I believe I mentioned at the top of this show, I have Chinese food getting cold. I'm going to have to talk about The Bride again next week.
Okay. I'm sorry I went to you. Robert, so your thoughts on why pockets of fans that this has built in ignored the movie entirely?
I think the marketing missed a lot of people. Like, I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm saying the way that marketing works these days, it just missed a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, this movie feels like an artifact from 2016, and I think culturally we've moved on from that.
It's a shame. I mean, it's the last thing I'll say. I don't know how else you do a Bride of Frankenstein movie other than just make it monster schlock than to do it as a feminist piece. Like, that's why you would greenlight it.
Well,
that's why you let whoever was working on this do this. You kind of go into it going, oh, if you're going to do a Bride of Frankenstein movie, yeah, man, play up the female empowerment role.
Okay. Allow me to express to you what I've seen from other critics say about the movie when you talk about, like, you have to do it as a feminist piece. I'm not opposed to that idea, for the record.
Right.
Not anti-feminism here, okay? When your framing device is this is the story that Mary Shelley really wanted to tell, but she was oppressed into telling Frankenstein because of the patriarchy. When Jessie Buckley at one point begins randomly shrieking in increasingly higher octaves, me too, me too, me too, while firing a gun into a crowd.
Are you serious? That's in the movie?
And Alexander Skarsgård literally says at one point, I'm a bad guy, I'm a dirty cop, I do what they tell me. Her direction was described as making Baz Luhrmann look freaking subtle.
For the record, you're thinking Peter Sarsgaard.
Peter Sarsgaard.
No way related to the Skarsgård family.
My apologies. Peter Sarsgaard, yes. Yeah, that's what this movie is.
Lampshading the movie?
Look, again, you want to do a feminist take on The Bride of Frankenstein? Okay. When your introductory bit is the ghost of Mary Shelley and from Black and White possesses the body of a 30s gangster wife who has been knocked down the stairs by her abusive husband and breaks her neck, we're off the reservation 10 miles back.
Okay.
Like, you want to do a feminist take? Okay, there's feminism that makes people think and makes things interesting. And then there's shrill screeching. Like somebody looked at the finale of the 2020 Candyman and went, but what if that was the whole movie?
All right. I'm going to say this, and then for Alexa's sake, I will move on. But
look, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shout at you, but it's like I literally have nothing to say.
You can shout all you want.
I was going to say, I haven't even been paying attention to the reviews of this because I want to go in with a blank slate.
What I was going to say was you both kind of missed my point. Robert kind of got it, but
Well,
I'm
the
not
second half for that was you asked about specifics, so I gave you the specifics that I was aware of.
Up until this past weekend, that's what I was really wondering about. Now, this is before anyone knows what's in the movie. I'll say it again, I'm shocked. Nothing about this movie was appealing to enough people to get it to just okay.
Look, no one knows whether or not Maggie. Okay, so let's back up to before the movie comes out.
That's where I was trying to focus.
Okay, so let's back up. No one knows if Maggie Gyllenhaal can direct.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a very good Frankenstein movie.
Mm.
We are kind of culturally past the sort of shrill feminism that is indicated in the trailers. And God bless Jessie Buckley and for her making sure this movie came out after the Oscar voting was done. Because this could have been her Eddie Murphy moment, where he didn't win an Oscar because his Oscar-worthy performance came out the same year as Norbit. And they were like, we can't give an Oscar to this guy.
Wondering if this might have done better had they pushed into the summer.
No, it was never going to. This would have done better if this would have done better in the death knell of January.
All right. Enjoy your review next week.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Alrighty. There it is. 93% on the tomato meter, 94% on the fan meter. No surprises
That's
there.
about right. Again, like my gripes with this are they exist, but nothing that would take this down out of fresh on that
All
scale.
audience is 92, verified audience is 94, and there is no subdividing among the tomato meter. The AI writes, an eager beaver. I give up.
Yeah, sorry. No, I have to choke myself over that.
An eager beaver for endearment that was the charm to back it up. Hoppers is a sprightly riot that might just be the funniest entry into the Pixar.
Oh,
no, go
get
fuck
bent.
yourself. What the fuck, yo?
In no way, shape, form, or fashion is this anywhere close to the funniest movie in the Pixar canon.
Not a chance.
I mean, once you get past the first 10 minutes, Up's pretty goddamn funny.
Oh,
For the
Up's funny. All the Toy Story movies have laugh out loud moments, apart from 4.
Well, 4 had a couple of laugh out loud moments. A lot of that due to the voice acting work of Keanu Reeves and Key and Peele, in my opinion.
Both the Finding Nemo and Finding Dory movies are hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, Finding Dory has like them bullying the seal off the rock, suck at bipeds from Ed O'Neill as the octopus. Like, so much.
For the record, I did see Mr. Friend of the Show, William Bibiani's review posted on another website. So if you see it, I'm curious to see if the quote that they highlighted shows up here, because what he said that got highlighted is pretty damn hilarious.
Odie Henderson of the Boston Globe, 2.5 out of 4. Visually, Hoppers is a step down from what we expect from Pixar.
True.
Unlike its best movies, there really isn't anything to set this film apart for many other animation companies' work.
This guy was going solely off of a visual standpoint. He really didn't care about the actual content.
I'm gonna say I don't wholly disagree with that. Like, if you would have told me that Illumination made hoppers, I would believe you.
Like you said, look just like Migration.
Well, not just visually. I mean, like everything. There's nothing here that has, like, pardon the expression, the Pixar magic. It's a good movie, but it's a generically good movie.
They feature ex-Mrs. Winfrey, Sarah Vincent of Sarah G. Vincent Views. Hoppers often can feel as if it is running the clock with exciting beats while giving short shrift to storylines that may have advanced the story's emotional center and still appeal to kids.
Again, that's kind of what I said about that was one of my gripes with it. So she stole from me. How dare she?
It's okay. It's okay to love your wives. The future ex-Mrs. Robert Winfrey, Sharon Nicole of Riotous. A very satisfying Pixar movie. Great messages that don't hit you over the head, like my jokes. Instead, you can kind of snuggle into it like a big old blanket. Oh.
I hate vibes-based reviewing.
Speaking of vibes, Jeffrey Harris of 401mania.com. It's an incredibly cute and fun movie that still nails the emotional relationships and character arcs and provides wholesome family entertainment. Very good, Jeff.
Yeah, no. Again, it's not bad, but it's not 9 out of 10.
Adam Olinger of Adam Does Movies. I can't believe Hoppers is from the same studio that gave us Toy Story, WALL-E, and Ratatouille. This felt like a ripoff of an Illumination film done poorly.
Okay, it's
not done poorly.
Yeah, it's like it's not that bad. That's a slam.
Again, if you ask me, like, if you told me Illumination did this and it's a better end Illumination movie, I'd agree. But no, this is not done badly. Colin
Barino of World. Hoppers is thematically one of the most original stories Pixar has ever made.
If we're hang on, I don't think this is enough to get it to a negative review personally, but if we're just talking, like, again, thematic originality, yeah, this is very, very well-worn territory thematically.
I'm sorry. Cars. You ever seen Doc Hollywood?
Look, Cars isn't super original either. I wouldn't give it points for that.
Siddhat Adlanka, joysauce.com. Rush, I got food. Occasionally taps into the very real fewer and paralysis that stem from simply being aware of the world. But rather than channeling those raw emotions, it betrays them with a mealy-mouthed tale of reneging on one's core beliefs.
Okay, this is the person who wanted, like, the eco-terrorism.
Yeah, this is the person who was really mad that our protagonist and our antagonist actually reached a compromise.
This person does not view movies and storytelling as anything other than a means for emotional validation. You're not to be taken seriously. Please be fired.
Speaking of which, Rachel Wagner of Rachel Reviews YouTube. Both bizarre and derivative with confusing message.
Well, nothing confusing about the messaging here. A immature, emotionally unstable girl learns the value of restraint, maturity, and empathy.
Well, that right there is why she's confused by it, because that's the kind of person who thinks restraint is fascism.
You know how I mentioned at the beginning about that most animal rights activists aren't written well and they're very one-dimensional. You could tell that reviewer wants that kind of a character.
Yeah.
Surprised her hair isn't blue in that picture.
It is in real life.
And no insulting those of us who dye our hair.
No, this is not about dyeing hair in particular. It's about blue hair specifically.
Hey, I dye my hair blue all the time. That color looks awesome on me.
No.
I like how
blue
I like how
hair.
Like as she's going into the hole, she just keeps digging faster. Scott Mendelson, The Outside Scoop. The lively and hilarious Hoppers is an example of what Pixar and Disney should be doing. Keep moving forward.
Yes.
How do we get to hilarious here? I mean, in general, he's correct, but, like, was anyone rolling in the frickin' aisles here?
I mean, I wouldn't say rolling in the aisles. I laughed pretty hard.
I laughed pretty hard when Mabel wiped the dead queen off of her paws on the wall behind her.
Again, I'm not saying there's not humor to be had, but, like, I've seen genuinely hilarious movies in the theater, the kind that, like, the guy behind you falls out of his chair and bumps into the back of yours.
Linda Kabuli of Escribiendo Cine. 5 out of 10. The access of ideas and the idealistic approach clash with the realism of its director, Daniel Chong, intends to convey, resulting in a dense and unbalanced film that is unlikely to achieve transcendence it aspires to.
I get what they're going for there, but again, I disagree that it was enough to knock it that far down.
Are these people just upset that the real villain of the film ended up being the butterfly?
Because no one suspects the butterfly. They're not in on the joke.
Travis Hobson of Punch Drunk Critics. Hoppers is unabashedly goofy, but like the best Pixar movies, it manages to blend humor with real-world concerns and a heaping dose of humanity. Thank you, Travis.
Again, not entirely
Woo-hoo!
wrong.
The future Xmas Robert Winfrey, Carla Hay of Culture Mix. Hoppers has all the makings of a classic Pixar franchise. Somehow,
No.
this fantastic movie doesn't get cluttered with its themes about human-animal body swapping.
That's not a theme, it's a device.
Wow. Environmental activism and emotional connections with nature. This woman does not understand film criticism at all.
She doesn't understand English. This is what happens when you do everything for the culture.
For the culture.
You end up just trying to sound like Snoop Dogg and needing a translator.
Movies for the people. Ah, yes, the future ex-Mrs. Alexis Hana, Grace Randolph of Beyond the Trailer. Pixar continues to think small these days, and the first act is pretty repetitive for them. But the rest of the film is so funny and inventive that it ends up being a good time anyway. Hamm, Franco, and Moynihan do some great voice work.
Not entirely wrong.
For once, you will not be beating your future ex-wife, Alexis, after her job.
I love that whenever Mark wills it so apparently I'm gay.
That's how it works. Speaking of which, Rachel Leichman of the Mary Sue Erica Poe. Hoppers is for all those kids who see an animal and instantly want to pet it. Ugh. Wow.
How is that
The
criticism?
Mary Sue.
I would say that sounds more like a review for The Secret Lives of Pets than Hoppers.
Like, there's a bunch of the animals in here that you shouldn't touch.
Yeah.
Like,
You really shouldn't be
Don't-
touching beavers in the first, let alone bears.
beavers are iffy. You can. They're a little bit skittish, and they're not always they're social creatures, but they're not always the friendliest.
Well, it's my argument. Don't touch wild animals if they don't want to be touched.
Resident
that's
Beaver Licker,
generally.
William Bibiani of The Rap. Hoppers isn't just James Cameron's Avatar if it had feelings. It's also James Cameron's Avatar if it was good.
That's the quote I saw, and I loved it.
That is a good line. That is a very good line. As someone who's never been in love with the Avatar franchise, I understand.
Well, we're going to end with Sir Bibiani. Folks, that is our review of Hoppers. I will be in New Orleans, or I'll be coming home from New Orleans next Monday, so I will leave the bar to Kirstie Alley over there. Hopefully it will not be burned down.
It's a Cheers reference for those of you who are under the age of 40.
I'm old. Yeah, he legit says that. He was just like, I'll leave the keys to I can't remember Kirstie Alley's character's
Diane?
name. No, that was Shelley Long.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then I'll sell
Rebecca?
what's Rebecca.
It was
I'll leave the bar to Rebecca and then sell what's left for kindling.
I assume the restaurant upstairs took issue with that.
There was a restaurant above Cheers, as I recall.
What was above Cheers? Because they were the basement.
Oh, that's right. You know what? Now that you're thinking about it, there was a restaurant above Cheers.
I knew there was something. I wasn't sure if it was a restaurant or something else, but
Yeah. Cheers was taped for a live studio audience. Remember when they used to do that?
I remember when there used to be live audiences.
Yep. Anyway, Alexis will be here along with Kat, along with Robert, and they will discuss The Bride. Good luck. I'll be back the following week to do Project Hail Mary, and then
I will see if I survive that.
And then I will be ending the month with Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. So that's what's going on here. No show yesterday because I was supposed to be at an MMA gig and then got told it wasn't needed. So tomorrow, Alexis has
Told
the
it
keys.
wasn't needed. The Mark Radler story.
That's right.
Part 3.
God, you ain't just whistling Dixie. Alexis is going to review A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, all by her lonesome. I won't be here to trample her.
I got
However,
a Roscoe.
Robert and I will be doing a Roland Emmerich focus. The Day After Tomorrow, 2012, and The Patriot. I showed Jonas and Lily 2012 and The Day After Tomorrow, and I fear I'm losing my son. He did not love those movies. He was bored. He was on his phone half the time, and he keeps yelling at me to watch Whiplash.
That's a good movie.
It's like his favorite movie. It's his favorite movie currently, and he's mad I haven't watched it yet.
What, you haven't seen Whiplash?
I have not.
You should watch Whiplash.
Yeah,
Miles Teller still needs to be dragged behind a truck, but J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for that and deserved it.
Yeah, I've seen the clips on TikTok.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyway, yeah, he did not understand the cultural icon that was Roland Emmerich at the time those films were made. And
one of the reasons I want to talk about Roland Emmerich, and when we get to those movies, like his career is a chronicle of the slow decline of spectacle as part of the entertainment landscape.
I was just trying to get across to him, but it's like he's impossible to talk to these days. And it's like within the last 2 to 3 months this has happened, where I'm like, what happened to my little buddy here who used to sit at my ankles and and I would bestow wisdom upon him, and now he's like a sister but worse. Everything's a goddamn fight. Like, he's not going to yell "Free Palestine." He's going to enslave Palestine. But still, I'm so sick and tired of fighting with my children.
Well, if he actually wants the enslavement part, we got a problem. If he's for the
the
consolidation of land for the consolidation of land under the Israeli government, I think there's an argument to be made.
For God's sake.
I said there's an argument. That's all I said.
As I was saying,
actual enslavement, no. Slavery's bad.
We're trying to move forward. We'll be reviewing.
Trying to move on from your son potentially being a pro-slavery. Yeah.
Robert, I have low blood sugar. Can we please go on before I faint?
For once, I'm in agreement with Alexis. And then a week from Thursday,
I want to hear the 12-year-old's thought on geopolitics in the Middle East.
Sweet Christ on a cracker.
So we'll be in the studio for Sessions a week from Thursday, and we will be taking our review of Planet Hulk and compressing it into a Duran Duran song. It'll be fantastic.
For those of you who don't follow Mark's adventures with AI music, he got depressed yesterday and sent me a psychedelic prog rock song in the style of Pink Floyd and the Doors about Reese Witherspoon turning into romaine lettuce, because taking our review of
Wrinkle in
Time. And first of all, that's the only memorable thing about that movie, and only because we made it memorable.
Yeah, we've been saying it since the movie came out.
Yeah.
And he turned it into this weird piece.
It's like Welcome to the Machine meets The Chain by Fleetwood Mac. It's great.
Go listen to it if you're curious.
It'll be out in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I was in a mood last night, and I was like, I'm gonna make a song, and I decided I need to make a song out of Reese Witherspoon turns into romaine lettuce. And I have been listening to it nonstop. All right, speaking of nonstop,
he didn't inflicted it upon me because he knows I hate Pink Floyd.
Alexis, I hear you have Chinese food you'd like to eat.
Yes, I do. No, sorry, the restaurant delayed it. I should have had it to eat at least some of it before, so it's like now all of a sudden it's like I am literally running on fumes. But yes.
You wasted 5-10 seconds with that. You're 10 seconds further away from eating Chinese food than you would have been.
Fine. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, where fashion meets fandom at the intersection of geek and chic. We're getting ready for Planet Comic-Con at the end of the month. It's our first convention of the season. Really looking forward to it. We're fully stocked on our Etsy and Handmade at Amazon shops. For those of you who are tuning in tomorrow for Dynasty 7 Kingdoms, if you are a fan of the Westeros universe, go ahead and check out our shop. We do have some really fun Game of Thrones themed jewelry that does not evoke the disappointment of the 8th season. As always, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram.
George Martin's writing career lately.
Please, George Martin, please write and write faster.
He's never going to finish it because the show did the ending he was going to write, and everyone hated it. So now he's like, "Well, I've bought into the conspiracy theory that he has it written. It's all done. He just has it that it's not going to be published until after his death, so he doesn't have to deal with the blowback."
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Screw You, Twitter, and of course TikTok. That's Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic.
Robert, please take the next 20 minutes to do your plugs.
I will take significantly less than that. I cover mixed martial arts and professional wrestling over at 411mania.com. WWE SmackDown on Fridays, UFC events on Saturdays. This last Saturday was UFC 326, a disappointment on pretty much every level. They announced the UFC White House card at that event, which was also a disappointment. And the fandom is not. The MMA fandom seems to be in revolt a little bit at the moment. It's a weird thing to observe. The fighters are not happy for a number of reasons. But if you want details on any and all of that, listen to the 411 Ground and Pound MMA podcast. That went live at 2 a.m. Eastern on technically Monday morning because that's the most convenient time for me to do it. So the Kiwis are up with me is basically how that kind of goes. It's a review of that. It's a preview of this week's event and talk about news. Again, the White House card being announced. Tom Aspinall signing with Eddie Hearn. Francis Ngannou being a free agent. All that good stuff. And yeah, Thursday, Mark and I will talk Roland Emmerich, the decline of spectacle as part of the larger entertainment landscape, and the career trajectory of Roland Emmerich, because it is one of the most interesting director trajectories I've observed. This side of Joel Schumacher, who is up and down more than the stock market.
Is that it?
That would, in fact, be the end of my plugs. Next week, we're talking The Bride. Come watch me spontaneously combust.
I'll say,
I don't know.
come watch me and resident Chaos Goblin Cat Scott torture poor Robert into a quickly approaching insanity.
Look,
Robert, have you heard her and Dorian do Thanksgiving?
Oh, it is not that going to be that bad, okay?
Hush.
I have not
Robert,
heard that, first of all.
Before Monday, I'm going to need you to listen to that review. And I'm going to need you to make sure it doesn't happen. Do you hear me?
I have no control over any of this, Mark.
You have control over Alexis. You have no control over Cat. But Cat will follow. Cat will follow in line. It'll be fine.
Look, Alexis has control of the board and the controls. I have nothing here, man. I got nothing.
She respects you. And you have the power. Don't let this become Thanksgiving.
I'm never going to live. No, it won't become Thanksgiving because Thanksgiving is what happens when you lock just me and Dorian in a room together. Robert, what happened was Dorian and I have a tendency that when we start talking, we branch out into a million different topics.
Yeah, I don't know if you've noticed it about her that she can't stay on topic.
Yeah. So it's basically a mirror image of that. So it is the ADHD levels of a goldfish talking movies.
You fell into a feedback loop. Yeah, I understand.
I was doing Uber at the time. I was driving Uber, and I'm listening to this, and I've never wanted to drive into oncoming traffic so many times. Like it was like I was in different areas of Tampa, and I would get frustrated and be like, "Fuck it, there's no reason to live." Like it was over and over and over again. That review is 5 hours long. It is 5 hours of rambling incessant. Do you know like the bit? And I think it's what is it? Billy Madison, where he gives like a nonsensical answer.
I'm very familiar with the response to that. That rambling by Adam Sandler. Yes, it's
podcast between Alexis and Dorian is his answer times 100.
Okay.
Robert, so you remember when you and I used to do reviews with Jesse, and repeatedly Jesse would have to ream us back in and talk about how he had to edit shit
trail,
Yeah. Okay. It's 2 hours of that.
Okay.
It is 2 hours.
And you don't have David there going so Loki.
Yeah. No, this was before
all the adults had left the room and let the two sugar riddled ADHD fucking toddlers run the show. Robert.
Okay, if it makes you feel better, Mark, if you can then travel with peace of mind and clarity.
Yes.
I will do whatever minimal things are within my power to try and keep that show on track.
Your show here, by comparison, so that Alexis is like, he hates me, nothing I do is good. The one show that I think is really, really good was Late Night with the Devil.
Thank you.
It meandered a bit in places, but all of our discussions meander in places. Ask me why I know that. So, but like that was
we're sitting here trying to close this podcast, and you just went back to a Thanksgiving review to try and warn us about the upcoming one.
Well, also because one of the ChatGPT's constant remarks about our podcast is it's a little meandering in places. It's good for a podcast, but it's awful for a thoughtful discussion. And I'm like, yeah, it's about right. Yeah, I remember listening. I was driving home, I think, from somewhere up north, in Florida, and I remember listening to the Late Night with the Devil, and I'm like, this is surprisingly like on point and like thoughtful, and I actually got a sense of what the movie is. The other one was Shogun. Shogun, I think, is like your best review you've ever done.
Actually, I think the best review we've ever done, Robert, was when we did Cabinet of Curiosities.
You're wrong. It's Shogun and Late Night with the Devil.
Well, Shogun, I'm also going to credit David Wright for a lot of that. He was able to, I mean, David actually does understand Japanese culture a hell of a lot better than I do. So it was great to have him.
We actually had an expert in the field.
Yeah.
Yes, it showed. So, Robert, I'm trusting you with the keys to Cheers.
I will again.
Don't let Rebecca burn the place down.
I was going to say, I don't smoke, so you don't have to worry about me throwing a cigarette in the trash can. I saw that episode.
Look, I will do what I can, but what I can do is limited, and I can't vouch for my mental health after seeing that movie. So I may be helping burn the thing to the ground.
Okay. Well, for Fire Marshal Bill and his accomplice, I'm
Mr. Bill, Mark. Mr. Bill.
Okie dokie. Be well.
That's a reference only you will get.
Oh no, Mr. Bill.
There we go.
Be well. Be safe and behave.